Welcome back, everybody. I am here with Carly Zanoni, and you may not know her by her name, but you know her as Blonde Chronicles. And honestly, it's amazing just to get a chance to speak to you. I've been following you for years, and everyone has at one point or another have seen one of your videos, I'm sure, and it made them click with what they were doing when it comes to color and techniques and pretty much anything in our industry. You give a lot of great advice on how to develop your mindset. You give a lot of great advice on how to take care of your clientele. So I want to hear from you personally. Carly, how's it going?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm good. I'm so happy to be here.
No, it's a pleasure to have you. So if you haven't followed her, guys, stop what you're doing right now. Go to Instagram. It's the.Blonde.Chronicles.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly.
All right. So make sure you go follow her, scroll through for about 10 minutes, and then come back because you're going to meet the person behind that page. So
Thank you.
how did you get on first your journey of hair? How did you get into hair? What triggered you to become such an elite professional in our industry?
Yeah, so I have kind of a silly story. Like I went to a very education focused, college prep high school, and it was really encouraged to go to a 4-year college after high school. So that was always kind of my plan. I just thought, oh, I'm just going to go to college and I'll figure it out. And initially was kind of unsure what I really wanted to do. So I kind of actually initially I wanted to be a nurse, and then I realized, wait, I actually hate science. Like, what am I thinking? And so just went as undeclared major, went to San Diego State for a year, and socially it was like the best year of my life. But beyond that, I kind of was like, you know what? I don't really have interest in this. This feels kind of like a waste of my time and a ton of money. So I had as much interest in hair as the next person. I was never like, oh God, I have this passion for hair. I did not feel that way. I really, at 18 years old, when I decided traditional college wasn't for me, I really wanted a job where I didn't have to get up early. Like sleeping in late was very important to me then. And I wanted a job where I could make my own schedule. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go to hair school. So I enrolled in Paul Mitchell, the school here in San Diego, and just realized that I actually really, really loved doing hair. And it was kind of a random choice for me because, like I said, I was not super passionate. I wasn't crazy into it, but it did work out to be just a great choice. And I fell more in love with it the more I learned about it.
Hair is like I got into hair. Honestly, my sister was doing hair and she was making good money at it. And then I went to
Yeah.
hair school and it was like 30 girls,
Yeah.
like one dude. I'm like, this is awesome. Like I have to do this. And
I have another guy friend who says,
it,
yeah, I have
it makes sense. Like,
totally. I have
what else
another
do you
guy
do if I don't
friend
want to
who
go to
says,
college? It's like being part of a sorority, but you're a dude.
yeah,
And I just turned out, I was just really good at hair.
yeah,
So I didn't really assist either.
yeah. I didn't either. Yep.
I just, a girl in hair school took me under her wing. She was working in a salon. She needed a license, so she went to hair school. And literally, like the second week, I highlighted, lowlighter, did her root touch up, and then pulled through in between the foils to tone her hair and then retone it with something else. And
Wow.
color was just clicking for me. And I was
Yeah,
able to do a full highlight by like week 4 of hair school in probably like an hour.
that's amazing. That's
And so it
awesome.
was like for me to, and this is where you come into play, for me to teach how to do things that I do, my hands just do it. And I never really
Right.
had to articulate it until I owned my own salon.
Right.
When you start articulating things, I'm like, wow, she puts that so simple and such an easy way for someone to understand. How did you become such a good instructor? And how did you use Instagram really as your main platform, if that is your main platform, right?
Yeah. hmm
How did you
Yeah. So, yeah. Great question. So I think it was a skill like anything else over time. I kind of started to develop and get better at breaking down things in a specific way that I knew would kind of click with people. But I think in the beginning it really came. Well, first I'll say that I'm jealous that hair clicked for you right away because I felt the opposite. Like I was like really had the people skills down. I felt like I was really good at that part of hair, but the actual technique of it felt very overwhelming to me and I was very confused by it. So I did invest in a lot of education, and I started doing hair 17 years ago. And when I started doing hair, there was no independent education really. It was just you kind of go to a hair show if you want to learn, or you go to like a sponsored class by a brand at your beauty supply store. There was not really independent education. So the classes that I did take, there were little nuggets that I would take from people that I was like, wow, that really made sense to me how they broke that down. And I think it was just kind of started off slow, sharing a couple things simple like formulas and things that don't necessarily contribute to like the technique. It's more just the details of like what exact formulas I used and stuff. And then started getting some more questions about, how did you do that and what did you do? And over time, I was not great at it at first. I don't think like anything else, it's just a skill you develop. And I just kind of started to think back on the things that I would say that people would say, oh, that clicked for me. Like, how did I break that down that clicked for so-and-so? And, a lot of people probably have the same exact questions that I do. And what really, like, what are the exact detailed steps I take and how can I just make it as simple as possible? And I just started thinking about every, service I was teaching about, every technique, literally just how simplistic can I make this, and just really, really focusing on breaking it down to the absolute bare minimum like steps and
You nailed it.
Simplest way.
That's why I really like watching you.
Thank you.
We live it honestly with TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. There's people overcomplicate techniques. And I think the problem is they learn from like 50 different people.
Yes.
And so they make this podge of techniques and they try and do all of it in one.
Totally.
And they just confuse themselves and they get discouraged and they stop doing hair because they think they suck, and you don't.
No.
And I tell my team, come up with your own style. Like the reason why the Blonde Chronicles is the Blonde Chronicles because she took all her information and she made it hers. Like you're the artist. People are going to pay your prices because they're your prices. Don't look at someone else's menu and try and mimic it. What do you feel comfortable charging? What do you feel comfortable doing? If you don't feel comfortable doing balayage, then don't do balayage. Put it in a foil. You can get the same result with a different technique. And it's like when you watch certain people out there, and their skills in teaching and how they get from point A to point B, it either clicks for you or it doesn't. And if it doesn't click for you, that instructor is not for you.
Totally.
But I got to be honest with you, I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass, but very rarely do I send a technique that you do or you break down and someone's like, I don't get it. And that's why like simplicity is so important in our field, especially.
Thank you.
Formulation is complicated enough.
Oh, 1,000%. And I totally agree. I think the biggest struggle that hairstylists have is exactly like you said, they're really, really, really just overcomplicating. And when you really break it down, if you have honestly, like a small set of very core skills, you can take that to any color correction, feel comfortable with anything that sits down in your chair. And I try to tell this to people. They're like, well, I'm looking for specific education on color corrections. And I'm like, color corrections are basically just a combo of like highlighting, low lighting, base touch up. Like it's just a combination of the other skills that you already know how to do. It just takes being able to visualize, like, how do I get from point A to point B? Exactly like you said. So thank you so much too for what you said. That's so kind.
What works for me for color correction when I teach it, it's like my go-to. I'm able to look at somebody, have a 2-second consultation and be like, all right, I know what I'm doing. And it's this. There's only 4 things you have to worry about. You're either going lighter, you're going darker, you're going warmer, you're going cooler.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, what do you mean? Like, she's either too warm and she's unhappy, so you're going to cool her down. They're too dark, you got to lighten her up. So don't complicate it.
Totally.
Yeah. And that's what I base a lot of my consultations off of. Where are we going?
Yeah.
And you just actually said something that was really relevant to stylists in terms of keeping it simple and not overcomplicated things. Even your Instagram posts are not overcomplicated. I'm talking like the technical side of the reel and how you actually do the reel and produce it. And stylists who want to get themselves out there and start posting are like, I need 15 different apps and I need to do a voiceover and I need to do this. I'm like, no, just post something, anything.
Totally.
The values in the content. And not to say that your page isn't like super artistic, but you're not Spielberg and you're not trying to be.
Exactly.
And people
1,000%.
They get intimidated by what iPhone should I have. And I just did a post about that. It's not about your iPhone, not about the camera. It's not about, anything. It's about the content you're creating. Is it valuable to your audience? Who is your ideal client?
Totally.
That's
And I,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think people get like exactly like you said, they get really carried away, and then that causes them to never post anything. It's like I call it analysis paralysis. It's like you're over analyzing so much that you can't even take the step. And it's just like just do something. You'll evolve over time and figure it out. But exactly like you said, if I can't complete the reel in like 5 minutes, like now I'm pretty quick at making reels, but you know, when I started, it took
Yeah.
me longer. But
Hours.
I can't do it quickly, hours. But if I can't do it quickly, like I'm moving on because it's just too much. The concept is too confusing for a reel. It's like if I need to be able to sum it up, and same goes with I need to be able to make it quickly because I have shit to do. And like, you know, we're posting a lot of content here, people. We got to move on. So
Yeah.
totally just like take all the confusing stuff out of it and just post something.
Yes, with intention.
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah, because I see posts from my staff sometimes, even like clients and whoever. I'm like, why did you post that? Well, I had to
Yeah.
get a post up today.
Yeah.
If you need to get a post up today, recycle something you did that was a banger from like a month ago or 2 months ago.
Oh yeah. 1,000%.
There you go. There's your post. It's simple.
I do that all the time, and I always say exactly with like coming up with content. Don't overthink it. Go back. I repost stuff so like if you look at my page and scroll down, you'll see it's basically a lot of the same stuff. But not only just repost the exact post, which I do if I'm in kind of a time crunch or whatever, but I'll just recycle. Like if a concept worked well, I just take the same exact thing, either put it in a carousel or a static post or a reel if it was one of the other ones, or I make it another reel and just change the wording and change the video a little bit. Like it's just very easy to see what works and keep doing that. That's just a super easy strategy to actually have you continue to post stuff.
It's genius. And so I may respond to a reel better than someone who might respond to a carousel post. And some people learn in different ways. Yeah.
Totally. 1,000%.
Was it, how did you, obviously I know how you built your following, but when you first got into Instagram, was it to build your business behind the chair? And then you're like, wow, I have a whole nother area I can grow from. Take me through that when that clicked for you.
Yeah, so it did start with it was probably back in like, oh gosh, I would say like 2015-ish, 2013, something like that. And I had consulted with somebody who did like Instagram coaching, and I was trying to build my business behind the chair. I had a somewhat solid clientele, definitely not like totally booked, whatever. I wasn't where I wanted to be, but I was doing okay at that point. I had been in the industry for like 6-ish years or something at that point, 7. And yeah, so I just started posting to get clients and started post. Honestly, the biggest things that I changed were posting more frequently and posting with like a very direct call to action for clients. And it was just a lot of a mindset shift. Honestly, it was just saying to myself, okay, because my thought was I'm going to post too much and like annoy people, right? I think a lot of people feel that way. And I just thought I had to readjust that and say, if they're bored with me and they're annoyed, they can unfollow. I can't hold myself back because someone out there might be like bored of listening to what I have to say. So yeah, I started posting. It was very slow growth. It was not like I had overnight one page reposted me and I blew up. That never happened. It was a slow growth of, the past, gosh, I mean, many years. And the things that really worked were honestly, I could really break it down to consistency over everything else, over everything. I think the reason that people get lost with social media, or they're like, oh, it doesn't work for me, is because after 3 weeks of posting on there every 3 days a week schedule, they don't see any growth and they're like, I hate this app, like I'm done here. But I think posting through that and that like I'm over it feeling is what's going to get you growth, or your ideal audience or whatever you're after. So that was the biggest thing. But I would say it started with clients, and then I slowly just started popping a little bit of stuff in there about, it was very simple stuff. It was like photos. I mean, before reels were a thing, or videos, really, it was just photos of like, I painted my lightener in an angle like this. And people were like, whoa, like blown away. And I was kind of like, well, that was easy. Like, I like that. And I loved the feeling of helping people figure out those light bulb moments that took me literally years to figure out and so many mistakes. So I really was drawn to that, kind of the feeling that I got when people said that I had helped them. So it kind of went from there. And then over time, in the last couple years, I've focused completely on education and figured out kind of how to, my niche within the education world. And it's a constant
Let
learning
me ask you a
experience.
question.
Yeah.
You post a lot of education, and I tell my team this all the time, but they don't know what to post. I guarantee you clients want to come to you and pay you more because you're an educator and you know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if people watching right now, post your technique, post how you got from point A to point B, even if you don't want to be an educator, because what I tell people is one of the most basic human needs that we have is certainty. And if I can see that you know what you're doing, I'm almost guaranteed that I'm certain that I'm going to like my hair. And so if you just post pictures, oh, here's an after picture, here's an after picture, you're not giving any value to anyone. So that's another reason why it's so good to do what you do, because you're adding value. And that's why no one gets tired and follows you.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. You're so kind. And also, I totally agree. I think I say that all the time. People are like, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to capture. Like, set up a tripod literally behind you. Get like 5 foils of you. Get a couple things of you working. And even if you're not trying to educate, exactly like you said, clients love seeing that stuff. They love seeing the process. And also, it's really easy content to speak to. Like, today I did this, and my client's going to be, I'm going to want to see my client back in 6 weeks for a gloss. And this is a low maintenance option, perfect for anybody who doesn't want to come back to the salon and be a slave to their roots. Like, there's so much you can do with content that seems like you're posting as an educator, but it really lends itself well to brands, to clients, and to students, if that's what you're after. So for sure.
I want to touch on brands too, because you're a rough stylist or artist.
Yeah. I work with Short Scalp.
Before I jump into that, this is a big one for people. Once they get those nasty comments, right? And I'm not sure if you get any of them or not.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people like, why did you do it that way? That way's stupid. And it really does, like, I'm a pretty strong person. Like, I don't really give a shit what anyone says about me.
Yeah.
And every now and then, like, I'll get triggered by somebody. I'm like, oh, this person has no effect on my life. Why do I take it personally? How do you deal with that for some of the younger stylists? What advice do you have to give them? And has it ever affected you at all in your journey growing on Instagram?
Totally. Oh yeah, 1,000%. I mean, I get those comments all the time. Honestly, I think that's one of the downsides about getting, growing a larger, a following over time, is that there's just more exposure to people being complete assholes. And I block them immediately. Like, I used to fight back with them, and some people are like, oh, well, that's stupid. You're just making it look like everybody loves you, blocking all the negativity. And that's one way to look at it. But I am like, you know what? No, I am spending way too many freaking hours on making this free education. And I will not allow anybody who steps, my assistant calls me a block happy bitch, because I literally am like, anybody steps a toe out of line. Like, if you are like, I don't like that music, like, you're gone. I feel very strongly about the energy that is on that page, and I spend so much time on it. And if you are not there to be positive and post nice things, like, I have no use for you.
Goodbye. Yep.
Yeah. Goodbye. But it is triggered. Like, sometimes I get triggered still, and I'll respond, and I'm like, I'm gonna wait for them to see it and then block them. But most of the time now, I'm just like, goodbye. Like, I don't move on.
I'm super petty like that too sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in the 4 agreements. Like, in the past, I've gone as far as having my other account for my other salon to comment back after I block them, just to talk shit and then block them again. I'm like, I wasted so much time on this. What do I mean? This person's not worth it. Why? They're not paying me rent. Why are they taking up space in my mind?
Yep.
Get rid of them.
Totally.
Yeah, I love. Once I switched to a more a blocking mentality.
Yeah.
2 seconds later, I'm completely forgotten about. I don't even work with them anymore, and it's such a great way to be. You don't need them as a follower. You don't need them at all in your life. They're causing negativity. You wouldn't go to a party, right, and hang out with people that were just jerk offs.
Exactly. No way.
Yeah, kick them out of the party. Your page of the party, kick them out of it. So,
1,000%.
Brands.
Yeah.
How did you pick Schwarzkopf? Did it pick you? I use Blonde Me. I love Schwarzkopf lightener especially.
Yeah.
How did you wind up getting their attention, and how did that relationship form?
Yeah, so I would say with most brands, to be honest, and there's like a movement against this right now, I feel like, and to each their own. But the way most of these relationships started with brands was me creating content for free and hoping that they notice, really. And I know that, there is a push to like have stylists be compensated for their content and everything. I totally agree with that, like time and a place. But I do think that there's a lot to be said for just making content about the things that you love with no expectations in return, because a lot of brands, that's how they find you. It's not like they're trying to scam you out of free content, but they don't know that you're out there using their product unless you're tagging them
Yeah.
making content, really. So
Giving you exposure too.
exactly. Yeah. So I'm all about that. I think, there's other forms of currency. One of my friends has said there's other forms of currency than just like money and monetary payments. And the opportunities that come out of some of the stuff that you do for free are bigger than honestly money could
The
be.
biggest
So
form of currency is attention.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. So a lot of it started with just making free content or content about the things I love and use. And then some of the relationships with sports golf, it was a random kind of thing we started. I got asked if I wanted to be on this project. They were launching a new color line, and I got asked if I wanted to be a part of this project. And so I was like, absolutely, 1000%. And that was kind of the beginning of a relationship. And I slowly dabbled with them with more projects, and still continue to make content and show the product love and educate about it as well. I think that's helpful for a brand if you have a an angle of just educating other stylists about it. But a lot of brands that I worked with, I sent a pitch letter. Like, even, and this wasn't, yes, I have a lot of followers, and people are like, well, of course you have a big following. Like, no, some brand, I mean, a lot of people have a lot of following, and a lot of people are doing great work. So you have to stand out. And I would DM a brand and say, hey, I'd love to chat more about if there's any opportunities to collaborate on content. And if there's any like influencer potential opportunities coming up in the future, I'd love to be considered. Do you have an email of somebody in that department that I could contact? And some brands would blow me off. Some would write back and give me an email of somebody that I could actually contact, and I would reach out to them. So I'd say it's a mixture, but majority of the brand relationships I have come from me just trying to get in front of their face and be like, hey, notice what I'm posting about your brand.
Being social on social media.
Yes, I know. What a concept.
So daily routines. Like,
Yeah.
you're very busy. I'm sure you got a million messages on Instagram, because I have a lot. I only have like 12,000 followers, and you have 500 plus. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands now. That takes up a lot of your time. Plus, you own a suite or a salon.
So currently I'm in like a studio where I film content for my education.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you do hair out of too. Are you
Yeah.
still doing clientele, or you're almost all focused on
Just education. I started just at the end of last year. I said, you know what, I need to take a step back, because I was still taking clients consistently, a couple days a week behind the chair. And it just became that thing where I was like half-assing everything. Like, I wasn't really doing my education students justice and my membership, and I wasn't really doing my clients like justice, because I was in too many places at once. So now I
in the
do
same position.
hair.
Yeah.
So now I do hair in like a studio space that I still actually end up doing a decent amount of hair, like filming content for my education, and then just filming content for like Instagram content. So just in a little studio space. But I was in a suite for 2 or 3 years.
I'm not sure if this is actually beneficial for you, or if you do it even, but a couple guys around here who are decent educators, they have people work and shadow them and pay them for the day.
Yeah.
New models and stuff too.
I've done that before. Yeah. It's
That
great.
blew my mind. I was like, you're paying him X amount of dollars just to watch him work?
Yeah.
Like, you can watch me work. It was one of my stylists. And I was like, go
Yeah.
watch and learn. Like, I don't really care. I see his videos. He's going to obviously tell you way better than I can. So go learn. It was awesome for her.
Yeah.
She opened up her own suite too. She wanted to leave in the salon like 6 months ago, which we
That's
still have a
awesome.
great relationship. I'm like, do your own, spread your wings.
Yeah.
We have a very open concept in my salon. So
I love that.
If you want to own your own place, like you need color, you get jammed up, come pick it up from us, you know? So there's no need to have enemies. We're all in the same industry here. Let's help each other out.
1000%.
So back to your daily routine.
Yeah.
So what is like a typical day in your life like?
So I have 2 small kids. So I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. So It's funny thinking back to my dream for being a hairstylist was sleeping in late, because now, like, if I sleep in past 6, I'm like, what? I've wasted the whole day. This is crazy. So they get me up early. I honestly, my daily routine is not really a routine because it switches constantly because of my kids mostly. So they get up and it's mostly hanging out with them and trying to get them ready for school. And then I come back home. I don't get home until about, like, by the time I drop them off and walk my dog, I'm like ready to work usually around 9, which kills me because I'm a huge morning person. If I could work every day from like 6 to 12 and that's it, that's what I would want to do. But I don't get back till 9. Then I have to like get in my routine of, starting to do things and whatever. My husband and I work together on my education and, businesses and stuff. And so we have a home office. So we work from home. And from there, the day is just kind of either, it honestly flexes between answering messages from my online education students who have questions, creating content. Sometimes I'm filming a video, which is kind of like a multiple hour long project. But if I'm not doing that, I'm answering the DMs. I'm creating content for my regular Instagram, which takes up a really good portion of my day. And then I'm also just kind of jumping back and forth between like other projects that are, like, I'm launching a bunch of other courses. So I'm trying to work on those. So my daily routine is probably not inspiring to anybody because it's an absolute shit show most of the time.
Kids really throw you off though, because that's a different variable. I have a 9-month-old baby, and I have
Oh
one.
my God. Yeah.
So it's like what I have planned for the day. She gets up 3 times in the middle of the night. Oh,
Yeah.
my morning shot now because my wife's pregnant. I was trying to let her sleep in a little bit.
Yeah.
And she's like, bing, 5:30, let's play. I'm like, oh shit. All right. No gym right now.
It's brutal. I know. Yes.
What do you have your courses built on?
They're all in Kajabi.
That's why I'm on too, Kajabi.
Yep. It's great. It's really good. So yeah, so my routine's kind of wild. And then I pick up my kids around like 4:30, and then I try and fit stuff in between hanging out with them. So it's just it's wild all day long. We're just hoping for the best.
Do you find yourself on your phone often, or do you have a time where you're like, you know what? I put my phone down.
Yeah, such a great question. I'm on it all the time. I mean, a lot of people will disagree with that, and like I don't have balance, and I just know that I don't have it. This is the time in my life where I'm like full throttle. I feel that I have so many things right now. Like I would kick myself in 10 years if I look up and I didn't take advantage of the opportunity. And
you said that, by the way.
What's that?
I'm so happy you said that about balance.
Yeah.
Because
it's just
everybody wants to have this perfect life, and nope, I'm going to allocate time for social media. No, it is all day, every day. You have a couple runs in this life, like especially as a stylist, because you have a 5-year run maybe behind the chair where you're like, you're the shit.
Yep.
Now you're the shit on Instagram, and you're ready to make with courses, and you have to make this run, and you have to make it worth it. Because if you don't, like literally, you could end up giving up so much opportunity. And no one
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. I say that all the time. Like this is a blip on the radar of like when I'm going to be relevant or people will give a shit about what I say. And I don't want to squander that away. And it is hard because like, people are quick to judge and like, but your kids they're not going to look back and say, I wish my mom worked more. And I'm like, no, but I'm building this like hopefully incredible life for them that, not only like financially I have a lifestyle that I want to maintain, but they'll also see that I'm like working extremely hard to achieve my goals. And I do not think that's a bad thing. And so, yeah, I have absolutely zero balance. I'm on my phone from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to sleep. It's, it is what it is. And I just, luckily I have a supportive partner who understands the reasoning, and I call it integration. Like, yeah, there's no such thing as balance. I threw that out the window like 5 years ago when I realized, I could put my phone down at like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever. But then I'm so like anxious the whole night thinking about the next day when all that stuff picks back up. So it's not even worth it.
No, the anxiety, like, well, I have 100 more emails I got to answer. I have 100 more messages I got to DM.
Yeah.
And it could be a potential client, especially for coaching, or someone has an issue and they're jammed up right now. I'm like, Carly, I need you right now. It's like, all right, I just solved that problem for her. She is a lifelong fan of mine. Because at the end of the day, you want to create raving fans.
Totally.
And you're not going to create raving fans if you're like, no, I'll answer you later. It's urgent.
Totally.
We'll have a hair emergency.
Absolutely. Same thing goes with having clients. Exactly. It's so true.
We are in an industry, and you mentioned a little bit before about, things that get said about, what was I saying? Like boundaries, for instance. That's a big play right now. It's
Yes.
like, what are your boundaries? You got to set policies. And I get that. But if you have no book, you have no clientele, you shouldn't really have that many boundaries. Oh, you need a haircut at 10 o'clock at night? I'm there.
1,000%.
In the morning, I'm there. That's how I built up 7 days a week, 12 to 15 hours a day. But I'll tell you what, in 6 months, I was fully booked.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So,
I totally agree. And I know that there is like a big movement towards, self-care is important, not to belittle that, but there's a big movement towards like, I don't want to work the nights. I don't want to work the weekends. And that's everyone's prerogative. But I will say exactly like you, the way I found success was coming in whenever for whatever, taking everything, not being picky about it, booking long days. And the thing that people don't realize, I think, is if you start out, and again, to each their own, like whatever works for you, but as an outsider looking in, when you start out with no clients and you say, I don't want to work past 5, I don't ever want to work the weekends, I only want to work 3 days a week, there are some clients that just need to come at 5 p.m. or on a Saturday. There's just no way around it. They just cannot take the time off. So those people are going to seek out somebody who does have that availability. Now, a couple years down the road, when you're like, hey, I'm not going to work Friday nights anymore, they're like, you know what? You've been my stylist for 5 years. Like, I'll take a Wednesday morning off for you, because a lot of people are loyal. However, that person who needs a 5 p.m. or Saturday appointment, having no knowledge of you, not knowing who you are, they're not loyal to you, like they saw some photos on Instagram, they're probably not going to say, let me rearrange my schedule to come in for you on a Wednesday. Maybe will that happen sometimes, but I just it might, but I think that
there's no value there. You're not valuable to them yet. You're not the person who solved their problem.
Totally.
Yeah.
1,000%.
So happy you said that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many conversations about boundaries, and these are from people, coaches, whoever, who don't do hair anymore,
right,
who never built a big business behind the chair.
Right.
They got burnt out right away when you didn't really do anything in the industry. Now you got good at Instagram, you're good at Reels, and now you could post bullshit content, misdirecting people. And it's always the same type of stylist too that needs the boundaries.
Right.
And I'm not part of that party. And I get it. It is healthy to not be taken advantage of by your clients.
1,000%. Yes.
And
there's
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's a line. I mean, of course, it's like if you are at this, the thing is, a lot of these boundaries are set for the same 3 clients. Like, this client is late. I have a client that's late every time they're 30 minutes late. They totally fuck up my day. Like, that's fine. And those things need to be, addressed, of course. But it's like, just to set this blanket thing of like, I don't do this kind of color, or I don't work on these days, or I don't like, it's just kind of like, well, then how do you know what niche you want, or how do you get good at everything when you don't try everything? Or like, how do you, if you really, I mean, some people are in a situation where it's just like, I have no money. Like, when I started doing hair, I was not making any money. So I was like, I want money. Like, that was a huge.
You're in a service industry. Provide a service.
Yeah.
Like I waxed eyebrows. So I did everything but perms. I waxed eyebrows, lips, facial. I did men's haircuts, women's haircuts, short hair, balayage. I mean, highlights, balayage wasn't really around them. I did every single service you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I turned nobody down. I don't care
same.
if you're black, if you were white. I don't care what ethnicity you were. I don't care what kind of haircut you wanted. If you wanted extensions, I would figure it out.
Yep. 1,000%.
And then, I don't do short haircuts. What do you mean? I get it. Learn. You have no clients. Totally. You're sitting in the salon for 8 hours. Watch 1,000 videos on short haircuts. Because that person who calls for an appointment wants a short haircut, you're going to have to figure it out or just not make money that day. And it's really disheartening that the industry went in that direction, that these prima donnas are like, nope, I do lived in color and I want to do one client for the next 8 hours till I figure it out. And if my client calls and she needs me to fit her in because she has an emergency hair appointment, I can't fit her in now because I only take one client a day.
Totally. Yeah. And like, that's fine. But it's also kind of just like, if you are wondering why you are not super busy right off the bat, or aren't reaching the goals you want, it might be time to just reassess, hey, I need more clients. Like maybe I need to figure out other opportunities to take those clients. Because same thing as you, I was literally the epitome of fake it till you make it. Like some of these clients would come in and I'm just like, holy shit, I have no clue what I am doing here. And I was just going back to those tiny little nuggets that I knew that related to this situation whatsoever. And I was just trying to get through these appointments. And now, do I necessarily recommend that? I don't know. I mean, I could have gotten more education, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I was like, I need these freaking clients. Like, I will do whatever I have to do. But yeah, I think having a niche eventually, like, great. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But to start off your career, eliminating tons of appointments that you'll be open to. Yeah, I think it can be slightly detrimental to hitting goals.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I remember sitting there praying. I'm like, God, please make this formula work out for me. Please make sure, like,
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I should take this down. I'm like, trust the process, make her
Oh
love
yeah.
it. And I'm blowing her out. I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
Amazing. And if it doesn't look good, you know it. So just step in there and be like, hey, are you okay? Can I tweak the color a little bit? Don't be afraid to speak up. It's going to go leaps and bounds for your client because they have the same mirror that you have that you're both looking into. And some people are just too kind to be like, something's off. You know,
1,000%. Oh yeah.
All right. So if you had to start all over again tomorrow, no clientele, $0, right? What would you do?
Love this question. So first of all, if it was 2023, any moment of spare time I would spend on social media, like hands down, I would spend all my time there. I would create tons of content, like what feels excessive. Like I would post multiple times a day and really, really try and reach that target market, even if you don't know who specifically your target market is, a market of clients. And then a couple very specific things. I would get really good at blowouts like immediately because I think they're so underrated. And they are the first moment a lot of times your client is seeing their new cut or their new color. And if you suck at blowouts, like which I absolutely did, you're doing yourself a huge disservice because the color could look great, but you suck at blowing it out and it looks like shit. Like that's not great. So I would spend way more time on doing blow dries and learning how to do that and styling hair. I think that's super underrated. There's so much focus on color, which is, in my opinion, more challenging in different ways. But I would get way better at that. And then what else would I do? Oh my gosh. A lot of things, honestly, about how I started, I would not change. Like we talked about, I would still be open to working on a Sunday, working on a whatever, like doing what I had to do. But I really think the social media and the styling part of hair would be my main focuses for sure.
Styling, finishing is everything right now.
Everything.
It's portfolio.
Yep.
So you can really be shitty at hair. And if you finish the hair really well, you're going to attract a clientele.
Oh yeah. 1,000%.
They just think it's them. Oh, I can't do my hair like you.
Well, that's what
it will catch up to you. So make sure you learn what you're doing because eventually you'll be like, she sucks.
Totally. No, 1,000%. I always say that. I'm like, I think we are so underrating how valuable blowouts are because how many times do you do a blowout on a client and they say, oh my gosh, I could never do this at home. Or I wish I could blow dry like this at home. And people either don't want to, I mean, if they really tried, they probably could, but they don't want to take the time. They don't want to learn. They can't do it as well as you can. Like, hello, we need to capitalize on that. That's a huge reason that keeps clients coming back and a huge valuable thing to them. Yeah. I mean, it's huge.
I was never great at styling hair. I never played with hair. I was a guy.
Right.
Right. And then once I figured out how to style hair so people felt good when they left,
yes,
and everything started really clicking.
Oh yeah.
Clients will come back like, I love the way you cut my hair. I just didn't like the way you styled it.
Yeah.
So can I blow my hair?
Okay, we can fix that.
I'm like, oh, so I don't really blow up much hair anymore. Like I can do it. So I remember blowing out hair. It was like a couple months ago. And one of the girls at the salon was like, wow, you're really good at blowing out hair. I was like, yeah, because she booked me for a blowout. Like,
yeah.
Blow out all my color for me. I know how to blow out hair. I just choose not to do it because it's annoying to me now.
Totally. Yeah. It's time consuming for sure.
And it's also, as an owner, I want I know I'm great with color, and I know they're gonna love their cut and their color. The girl who is coming up the ranks, I want her to blow out the hair, so she starts saying, "Oh, she did my hair so great."
Right.
This way, when I'm not available, they can book with my team.
Totally. 1,000%. Yeah.
That is that's where I'm at. Like you are right now, like you're done really taking clients. I find myself not being able to fully focus on what I need to get done for the day because I have a
Yeah.
client at 3 o'clock, and I'm like, shit, I
Yeah.
can't get my deep work. And then I'm doing my client. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so aggravated. I'm doing your hair and I shouldn't be doing your hair. So I'm just cutting down to 1 day a week where all I'm
Yeah.
doing is wearing that hat as a stylist, which I
I
don't,
love that.
I'm ready to hang it up,
Yeah.
but like, I still want to be somewhat relevant because I have a team here. There's no one really take my place yet.
Totally.
And
1,000%.
and because
That's
you
great.
didn't own a salon, really, you owned your own suite. So you have an assistant who helps you when you do your classes too.
Exactly. Yep. So I worked as a booth renter pretty much my whole career. Like stupidly went to booth renting like 3 months in with no clients, but whatever, it worked out, I guess. But I wouldn't recommend it. And then so I worked booth rental. Gosh, I was in a booth rent salon for like 13 years, and then two different ones over those years, and then I went to a suite after COVID. I went to a suite because I was like, well, I can't deal with people's schedules and are we going to work 50%? And California was so weird. So I went to a suite, and then I was in a suite for about 3 years, and just recently like got let go of my suite. So yeah, I've had a little taste of everything, but in my booth renting salons were also commission stylists. They were all hybrid salons. So I totally agree with what you said about the blow drying. Like eventually, and now like I have an assistant that helps me for classes. But when I was taking clients most recently, my assistant would do a lot of the blowouts, and it was for the exact reasons you said. Like I wanted the client to realize, hey, she's doing a great job with my blowout, and get that time together so that they could potentially, have a relationship in the future.
So in my salon, I'm actually switching to a different model. It's
Okay.
going to be, I see the movement in terms of suites, right? I know people want to be independent, and commission salons are great. Your team environment.
Totally.
I'm doing a 60, 65, and 70% commission structure.
Cool.
You
That's
really
awesome.
don't need a suite. Like if you want to still have that team environment, you're an independent stylist for me.
Yeah.
So I have what's called a private membership association salon.
Okay.
I'm not open to the public. We're private. So state board can't dictate the rules of the salon. They
Okay.
have jurisdiction in the public domain. We're private. So I have them create their LLC. I pay them a 1099, create their own Google map listing. So they have a Google My Business page, a section of the website. And I really, truly want them to be independent. How do you like that business model? I just want to pick your brain on, as if you were still a stylist, you're like, wow, I can go to a suite and pay every single week, or I can actually get 70% commission and not worry about coming up with rent, taking vacation, worrying about all the other bullshit. And I also offer tax classes for them. They get enrolled in my coaching program for free. They get access to all of that stuff. So how does that resonate with you?
I mean, I think that's awesome. It sounds like the best of both worlds. Because the thing I think there's this like panacea of like how amazing booth renting is and going independent or suite rental, and there are a lot of bonuses, but a lot of it is just like, wait, this is actually way more expensive than I thought. I feel like that's one of the biggest bits of feedback I get from people is they're just shocked by the expenses. So if you can have a situation like that where, like you said, you don't have to pay rent every week, even when you're gone, like all those things that you don't think about, and even just taking care of like towels and like stupid stuff inside of a salon, that stuff gets very expensive. So it sounds like an awesome, opportunity for a stylist to really get the best of both worlds.
When I started the salon, it was just me.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
really just me in there working my ass off. And then at the end of the night, I looked around, I'm like, oh my God, this place is a mess.
Yeah.
And then, I had other stylists that were there really, but they were still new and starting out. I would spend an hour and a half just cleaning bowls and like mopping the floor.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is brutal.
Yeah.
And I look at people in suites when I drive by, I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah.
It's by yourself, alone. And some people I love being alone. I love my alone time and being independent.
Right.
At the end of the night, you're exhausted.
Totally. And that was the biggest shock for me with the suite was I missed so badly being in a salon environment because I had been, I made me realize a lot of the reason that I love doing hair is the environment with my friends in a salon. Now I had the opportunity and I was lucky enough to work in salons that were very positive. It was not toxic. I was like best friends with the people that I worked with. So I missed that terribly. And it was very lonely. Like some clients loved it because it felt a little more private, and some stylists do love it. But for me, it could not have been a long-term thing. Like I could never have done that long-term because it was just too lonely. And like you said, all the cleaning, all the stuff, and just that camaraderie of like a salon with other people around feels different.
How was your peers from the past and like people who know you now and knew you back then? Like when you just started out, like do you talk to those people? They message you on Instagram like, I can't believe how much you've grown, and like how does that interaction happen?
Yeah, totally. I mean, some of my friends from my very first salon that I worked in, I'm still like best friends with them. So I always say this industry brought me like, happiness, money, but it also brought me most of my best friends, honestly. So I'm still really good friends with a lot of people that I started with in the first couple of years, even some people from hair school. One of my really best friends from hair school lives in LA. We chat all the time. We work on projects together all the time. So it's really cool to see. And yeah, it's fun. They're like, oh, we're so happy for you and whatever. So it's a fun journey.
Do they ask you how you do it? Like, oh, I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, just do what I'm doing. It's not that difficult. And then you watch them. They posted like 6 weeks ago. It's like, girl, come on.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yep. That's exactly it. But it is funny because summer, a lot of people are like, hate social media and never want to go on it, and that's fine too. But for me, I feel like there are just certain opportunities that social media can help you reach, and some people care about that, some don't. But most, that comes up a lot. Like, what are you doing? I want to do it. I'm like, I will literally tell you, just post a lot and stay consistent with it. Like and I mean quality content, but I think that develops over time. Honestly, I feel like my content probably sucked at first too, and then
do you ever go back and watch your first couple of videos? Have you done?
Oh my God. Yes, yes, I have scrolled. It's been a while since I've scrolled to the very bottom because I've been posting a lot lately. But I have the very first post that I made that was like for me, it was like viral at the time. I was getting 10 likes on things, and then something got 400 likes, and I was just like losing my mind over it. And I still remember that post, and it's still in my phone, and I still like it'll pop up, and it's fun to see. But yeah, I like going back and honestly, some of my old ideas I've forgotten about, and they like re-inspire me when I go look at them again and give me new ideas. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't want to keep you too long. I know you have children and you're very, very busy, but
it's
awesome chatting with you and getting a chance to actually meet the person behind the page.
Yeah.
How can people find you? What kind of courses do you have? Like, take us through exactly, if someone wants to learn from you, what do they got to do?
Yeah, totally. So, like you said, I'm at The.Blonde.Chronicles on Instagram. I have a virtual online education platform called Blonde Chronicles University, and there's a couple of membership options. It's $18 a month, or if you want to pay for 6 months, it's $90, or for the year, it's $165, which is a little bit better deal. And there's a library currently with like close to 150 videos covering tons of topics, guest educators. You can message me at any time for like specific questions. So that is the best way to get educated with me. I, at the moment, don't have any in-person classes scheduled, but we'll probably plan some for 2024. So stay tuned for that. And you can always reach out in a regular DM on Instagram on my main page, and send it twice if I don't respond, because I get so much spam on there that a lot of things get lost.
Yeah, that happened to us actually.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just saw this now.
Yes.
I didn't even expect a response back because it's so hard to keep up with, because if you respond back in a couple minutes, there's 50 new text messages coming through.
Yeah.
And that's like
a lot of them are total trash too. And so I like don't open every single one, because a lot look just like, I don't know what they are. And I'm kind of like, oh, moving on. But yeah.
Message I get every single day. Hey, do you want to buy hair? Hey, do you want to buy hair?
Yeah.
From China, cheap
hair.
Oh
yeah.
Or can I make videos for you?
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus.
So funny. Or like, let me boost your engagement with like $100 or something. I'm like, and now I'm good. Thank you.
It's gonna ruin your account.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000%.
Don't ever do it. It would it would completely destroy your whole entire account.
Oh
I had somebody help me out one day in the past, and they bought like I don't know, they called them aggregated followers, or they were real people, they said.
Yeah.
Completely ruined my account. They were helping manage social media, manage your own social media.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone jump in on your page. If you want someone to, you could use Cloud Campaign, but never let anyone take control of your page, because that's your baby. Like,
Totally. I agree. Yeah, I feel that way too.
so, Carly, thank you so much. I can't wait to keep following you, send your content out to everyone, and have an amazing afternoon. Thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And thanks for having me. And same with you. I love seeing your content. So can't wait to see more in the future.